back again with another 52 travel size segment. This time we're going to pack our bags and we're going to go down to Austin, Texas, down to the capital. We're going down to the capital for this segment here. I was down there in Austin for work. I had to do some things. My new gig got to be doing stuff out of town, and which is exciting. And I was in Austin. I was up in Austin, man. We stayed at a really nice place, really nice hotel, and apparently they have the best. They have their cookies are phenomenal. It's a chocolate chip cookie with walnuts in it, and when it's warm, forget about it. It's a nightmare. You could eat a fistful of those, but yeah. So we got the complimentary cookie, and those were really nice, man. And but yeah, man, Austin, headed back to Austin, and we were there for just a day for work, but got to go to the Capitol, which was amazing. That's an awesome experience to do. I had never, I lived all my life in Austin as a kid growing up. I just never had the means or just never nobody ever took me up there as a kid, and just kind of forgot about it. As you get older, you forget about it. But I finally got to go to the Capitol, went inside, and it's spectacular. They're working on it right now, but it's spectacular right the inside. It's you never know. You think about who's walked through those hallways and whatnot. Politics aside, I don't care about that garbage. But you think about the governors and the past senators and all these people that walk through those doors and those hallways. It's really cool. There's a lot of history in there, man. So I was blown away by it, and just the beauty of it, all the woodwork in there. I'm always things like that always catch my eyes. Woodwork, be it because I was in construction, and my father-in-law is a carpenter. My dad Tim, he's a carpenter, so to look at all the woodwork they did on the trim and all this stuff, the doorways, and it's blows me away. And the craftsmanship like that, you just don't see that anymore, the craftsmanship. And then throughout the Capitol and the hallways, they had pictures of, like, there's this one particular hallway that had, like, the workers that are working on the when they fix them, and it's like old pictures from just like 1920 whatever. There's like photos and stuff, like they're old photos, black and white, of the guys working on the Capitol. And then recent rehabs they did where they have construction. I think that's really cool to share those photos where you see the guys working on the repairs and the updates, and it's just cool. I'm a history guy, so I love that. Seeing all that stuff was great, and to be in the Capitol was a special moment for me to see all that. But it was cool. So we were in Austin. Had to go down. When I'm in Austin, I have to hit Thundercloud. Thundercloud is a sub shop, sure, typical sub shop, but it's the only one there from what I gather. It's the only one there. There's no chains. It's just Thundercloud. And I went there, and it was just nostalgia purposes, as I like to do. And it was good, man. I had I think it was like a ham and cheese, whatnot. I went basic because it's just, with that, you don't need to go crazy. It's just keep it basic, the vegetables. But yeah, went back. That felt good to go back to the Thundercloud subs. Go back there. That was one of my favorite shops as a kid in high school. Again, go there all the time. I'd go there all the time. So it was nice. I took Jennifer there, and we had some subs there. So it was good. The bread's always nice and fluffy. Granted, the service, I'm going to tell you this, no knock on Austin or whatever, but customer service there is kind of lacking there. But that's a whole nother conversation for another time. But yeah, Austin, it's Austin. It's gonna do what it's gonna do. You got the back country. I love it though. I love going down there. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful town. Traffic, of course, everybody talks about the traffic, how heinous it is and everything. But back in my day, I sound like an old man. Back in my day, you could go from the UT campus to like Slaughter Lane in like 5 minutes. And now it takes, a good hour and a half. And it's crazy how things change. And we were going to eat at Sandy's Burgers. If you've never been there, if you go to Austin, go to Sandy's. I can't forget, is it Town Lake or... But anyway, Sandy's, they do custard and they do burgers. And and all the people from the Capitol, like downtown, all the politicians, they go there. It's like the spot to go to. It's a cool spot to go to. It's been there forever. Kind of like Top Notch. It's kind of the same thing. But yeah, Sandy's is... the burgers are amazing there. The ice cream again is awesome. I mean, the custard, whatever, the frozen custard's amazing. But yeah, Austin. We were in Austin for a day. It was nice to roam around, kind of look around the spots when I grew up, where my high school was, and elementary and all that good stuff. It was cool, man. It was cool to go back on that, just to kind of think about the old when I was a kid and whatnot. But yeah, so had that little trip to Austin. That was nice. And then I didn't get a chance to make an episode, a travel size segment. I didn't get to make a travel size segment about Pee Wee. July 30th? I think it was July 30th last month was Pee Wee's 1 year anniversary of his passing. So that's why when I went, the previous road trip I went to with work, went to San Antonio. That's when I took a little Pee Wee character we got, the Pee Wee character we got from Angel, and we took it down to San Antonio, and I took some photos with it just to be silly with it. It's just because like I said before, Pee Wee Herman, that whole movie was just a big thing to me growing up. For Texas to be involved in that, that was cool to be mentioned, the Alamo. And now the Alamo's a whole different thing. Back when I went down there as a kid, when I was 5 or 6, when I went down there, man, it was just the Alamo. There was nothing else. There's like a strip center, like a shopping center and shit. And it's really done up. But I get it. Things have to grow. Time changes. But before, I just had the Alamo was just there. There's nothing else around. It's just the Alamo there. Grass area there. But now it's expanding. I get it's a tourist attraction. I get it. It's a big deal. But yeah, we were in San Antonio, so I took Pee Wee there. But yeah, it's the 1 year of his passing, and time ridiculous fast, man. And but yeah, Pee Wee was a big part of my growing up. So him, and we've talked about it before in the podcast before, all the movies he's been in, Cheech and Chong movies, all that stuff. So yeah, it's that was a big part. But yeah, we missed. I didn't get to make an episode like I wanted to for the Pee Wee's anniversary there. But yeah, it was July 30th was his 1 year passing. We get back from all the traveling there, and so I'm watching, I got to catch up on shows. I missed a couple shows here and there because we went to San Antonio a few days, and we get back catching up on shows. And then I come across, on Netflix, it's a new one. It's called Dirty Pop. It's the story of like Lou Pearlman, the guy behind like all the Backstreet Boys, all these guys, all the boy bands and stuff. Because like in the 90s, the grunge was like, it was taking over. It was grunge. It was the grunge time. It was, Seattle taking over and all that good stuff. Alice in Chains, the whole thing, Nirvana, all them guys were taking over. So Lou Pearlman comes in there, and he wants to bring back that thing. One of his lines in that show was like, he kept saying it over and over again. One of his catch lines was like, as long as there's little girls, you're always going to need boy bands and stuff, as long as little girls exist, So that's one of his lines he kept using over and over again. But yeah, man, it's a cool little docuseries. It's like 5 or 6 episodes, maybe 5, I think, episodes. It's really pretty. It's not too bad. It's not too shabby. But you know what I liked about it? The thing I liked about it the most is just it wasn't about the... Yeah, of course, it talks about the boy bands and whatnot, but it also talked about him. As it was mainly about him, which was what I wanted to know about who he was and stuff. Because I caught all these boy band things, like I said. I didn't care for the new stuff. I'm always old school. Of course, I'm an old guy. So, and I'm the old dude in the room. So I'm always about, New Kids on the Block. That's the things I was into. If I did listen to this, something that did catch my attention was New Kids on the Block. They had more of an edge. They were, East Coast cats. And they were Boston cats. So they were there. I enjoyed those guys. Those guys were cool. Like I said, they had more of an edge. But anyway, so Lou Pearlman, it goes into him, and what the interesting part of this whole docuseries was that it was done like AI, like him. They use Lou Pearlman. He's at a desk, he's all fat at the desk like this, all sweaty and shit. And it's Lou Pearlman. He's sitting there. And what it is, it's AI though. It's like they take the words and all that stuff that he's saying. It's from his book. It's called, I think the book was called Bands, Brand, and Billions. And it's him and all the things that he's saying in this documentary, because then AI, he's at a desk, and everything he's saying at this desk is the words are taken from the book. It's nothing. They haven't made anything. They haven't added anything. As far as we know. And it's all from his words, but they use his voice and the AI did, and it's him. But it's like it's from a video. From what I gather, I think it's from like a VHS tape video. But they did this so the sound was better and the quality of the video was better. But it was AI, and it was cool. And you could kind of tell the way he talked. It was very automated. It sounded like it just sounded like a machine. But it was cool. Nonetheless, it was cool. It was still cool. So he talked about a thing, and I didn't know he was before he started the boy band stuff. The way he got into his money, making his money. He was involved in like blimps and apparently airplanes. That's what he said. And again, I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but the thing about I didn't know he did like blimps, and all the blimps that he had, all the blimps would. I'm gonna do this a lot in this episode. The blimps would crash. So he had a blimp business. He had McDonald's did advertising on there. I forget who else was it that did. There was big names and big advertisers that did his blimp promotion thing, and so that's what he was into. That's how he made his money. We're gonna say that again, quotes. That's how he made his money. And like I said, he created, the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. It was crazy. I didn't know that and I didn't know this because I'm not big on these NSYNC, on these boy bands, like the 90s. While he made as he made Backstreet Boys, he created them. He made these guys. He made them a team, and then he sent them overseas because they were hitting big overseas, like Japan, things, China. They were hitting big in Europe, in all those places out there. They were hitting big over there, and while he had them over there, he created NSYNC over here. So he had NSYNC over here. So he was like double dipping. And, there was drama and tension through that because the boys were hearing about another band that he created. And he made a shit ton of bands. He did, of course, he did those. He did was that band? LFAVO. He did them. There was tons of bands. He did tons of it. O-Town, all the 90s boy bands you can think of, he did them. He did some obscure ones too that I never had heard of. But yeah, Lou Pearlman, man, he was on the ball. He was creating all these boy bands. He was getting after it. And he was making money hand over fist. He was making money all over the place. People were like, this guy knows what he's doing, man. He's a busy. But the reason why the Instinct left is because they saw that, you know, he was making all these millions were coming in. Like, all these millions are coming in. All these millions of dollars are coming in. And we're making like 10 grand. Like, we're cutting us a check for 10 grand. And they're like, well, you know, we're all this shit. And then, so Lou comes back and says, okay, I'll give you 10 grand. You don't have to take it, but 10 grand. He goes, you do that thing. I'm giving you somewhere to live. You live in a big house. You get all these free, you know, you're getting all this dancing, all this choreography teaching. You're getting all this voice lessons, all this shit, all this. You're traveling in private jets. You're traveling in a tour bus. You're getting all this shit. So I'm paying for all this shit. So yeah, I'm going to give you 10 grand. That's how it is. You know, that's how it's going to, that's the payoff. Like, you're getting 10 grand, but, and you see me make all this money, but I got to pay for you to do all this stuff, you know? So, cause he always wanted, his thing was, he always wanted the talent to look like they were rock stars. They, you know, private jets, limos, all this shit. He never held back on money. Like, he was a big spender, you know, he's never cut corners. He always, but it looked good, you know, so it looked good in the end. It looked good and it looked like, man, this guy knows what he's doing, you know? But in time, as things went on, as the series goes on, it comes to show that he was dealing with some shady characters, doing some fraudulent shit, you know, the blimps that were crashing, there was insurance things that were coming out, so he was making money off that. And the thing that he was good at, he was basically Catch Me If You Can. I forget the guy that Catch Me If You Can story. Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio, that movie, how he could forfeit shit. Well, Lou Pearlman was the same kind of way. Like, he forfeited some letters sometimes, and he got some checks. Sometimes he made $1 million checks sometimes using fraud stamps and whatnot. And he could do this stuff and paperwork. And that's how he got a lot of the boy bands funded, was like doing phony, you know, paperwork and whatnot. In the end, one guy from one of the bands, one of the boys from one of the bands, we stayed with him through the whole time, like towards the end of his career, of Lou's time career, whatever you want to call it. And he said one day, Lou's like, man, you know, he needed money. And they were, at this time, they were running from the law, because the law was looking for him, because he had insurance things that they were coming down on him. And he had, like, he was doing insurance for people, for older people. And he was, of course, ripping them off. So they were looking for him. So they finally were chasing him down and pinpointing where he was at. He's ever at a hotel in an island somewhere. And they had, you know, there was FBI shit on the island already, but this kid that was with him, not a kid, he's 20s, but he's from one of the boy bands, and like him and Lou became like, they were tight, they were boys and shit. Because he didn't have, I think the kid didn't have a family or something, so he stayed with Lou, and Lou took care of him and whatnot. So they're on this island, and this kid says, man, we need money, and Lou goes, all right, so he forges this shit, does some kind of thing with a check thing, calls in the bank and says, yeah, you know, I'm this and that, I lost my checkbook, this and that. And because he got it, the kid says, man, he had $1 million. You know, they cashed it in. He had $1 million. We had money again. We had some cash. He goes, but when that happened, the guy that was following him, the Tom Hanks character that was following with Lou Pearlman, this kid, they already were on the island with him. There was a picture of Lou eating breakfast like this, and you could see in the back table, like in the back corner over there, you could see the officials, the FBI guys were back there, sitting back there. So they already had it. They already knew where they were at. So they clamped down on him, got Lou, threw him in jail, got busted. And I didn't know any of this, man. I didn't know I thought he died like of old age or some shit like that, or just because, you know, he ate unhealthy. But yeah, Lou, eating about the unhealthy thing is like, they said that when Lou would go out, he'd eat the best steaks, you know, he had the biggest thing, the most extravagant dinners, desserts, all this bullshit. So he lived, you know, big. So he, you know, eventually caught up with him. So anyway, caught up with him, threw him in jail. He went to jail, all this shit. And, eventually, I think in jail, he died in jail. But yeah, man, it's a great documentary. I'm just giving you the chunk of it. You know, I'm not spoiling anything. Everybody knows, you know, he's not alive, because I knew he wasn't alive, but I just didn't know how he went about it or how it happened. But yeah, man, Lou Pearlman, man, he was a sketchy guy, but you know, you got to give it to him. You know, he was a hustler, man. He knew what he was doing, despite the fact of all the shadiness of the dirty part of the money and whatnot. Dude knew what he was doing about business. He got these kids. You know, he'd take these kids to get like sponsorships for the band, to keep going promoting it. People who wanted to put into the bands, he'd take them, and you know, these kids were like, man, we were like 18, 17, you know, we're barely in the business, we're shy and shit, we're nervous. And he throws us in front of these billion-dollar people, like they own billion-dollar businesses, you know, and he goes, sing for them. He goes, and we were like, we had to sing right then. We couldn't tell him no. because Lou was like, you're gonna sing right now, and it would get the the investors, they'd be impressed because these kids are singing a cappella and whatnot. And at the time, these kids were very, at this time these kids were new, and they were like, oh shit, these kids are talented and whatnot. So Lou was a slick guy, very slick guy, man. Knew what he was doing. They got into everything about his personal life and shit. Everybody. He was more of like, he was back then. He was like the. Oh, and by the way, he was related to his family. What was his family guy? What was his cousin? Was it Simon and Garfunkel? Garfunkel was his cousin, and he got him out of pinches sometimes too. But for the most part, they didn't really communicate. They weren't close, but they did. They were. That was his family. I didn't know it was his family. So he came from a big family, kind of a well-known to do family. But yeah, he was just he was like an incel kind of thing growing up, and he was just kind of a loner. But this is where he found a way for people to like him, and then he had these kids. He had this man, people just loving him and shit. Women loved him and stuff because he had money. And he always all the boys in the boy band say he's always considered himself like the sixth member of the band. He tried to get in the photos and shit. He tried to get give his autograph. People didn't want his fucking autograph. He's Lou Pearlman. Nobody gave a shit about him. But he would do that. He'd hop in the mix and try to be in there with the kids. It's just because he didn't have that growing up. So now he was trying to get that back. Trying to get that attention that he missed as a kid. So. But yeah, man, check it out. If you haven't seen it, it's Dirty Pop. I think the boy band story, boy band. I think Lou Pearlman's story, something like that. I forget what it's called, Lou Pearlman. But check it out. It's on Netflix. It was pretty good watch. Netflix got some interesting stuff, man. The other thing we watched the other day, I can't remember what day it was because I can't keep a day straight. We watched the Joe Rogan special. It was live, kind of like Chris Rock's live special was live. I think the first one was live, and if you miss it, after that, they kind of do another one, so it was another episode. It's the same thing, but it's just a little more edited better. But we watched the live one. It's out of San Antonio, and it was good. It was whatever it was. Like I said, I never saw Rogan as he's a decent guy. Well, who can I say? I'm nobody. But for me, just being an observer, he's a decent comedian. But I think his thing is podcasting. Like he's a big inspiration for all podcasters. He inspired a lot of people to do podcasting. But I'm saying that's where his meat potatoes. That's where I think he's the best at. He does well because he takes these people who you normally wouldn't talk to. These people that are on another level of just like not even fame, just a different level of thinking, and he sits down with them. He makes them regular people. That's what's interesting about Joe. He can make a person out of his league come to his level and talk to him and have a conversation, and they both understand each other. And that's the part about him I like. I think that's where he's the best at. And of course, that's why he's the #1 podcast from what I gather. Still, because I looked at the list last time, he's still #1 best podcasting. And so watch the special. It was okay. I thought his outfit choice was heinous. It was like an orange shirt, a tangerine shirt, and white shoes. Like I said, it was very much a dad, outfit, but. Teaches them that who gives a shit, whatever. But yeah, so the outfit was crazy. But yeah, I mean, the show was decent. I mean, it was not bad. There's a couple moments that were pretty good. He had some things that were pretty good. You know what it is with him? I like is like the writing that he writes. Like his writing is interesting. The way he thinks. I like the way he thinks, and it comes out through his comedy. The way his stand-up, it comes out through. You can tell he puts a lot of work into his writing and stuff, into his writing. And I appreciate that, man. I can see it. He's got some things where it's a thinker, and it's pretty cool. Like I said. He's got his moments, like I said. He has his moments, but like I said, it wasn't one of my favorite things. I said there was one before that was pretty funny. We talked about a cat's asshole, whatnot. That was that special. I can't remember what it was. It was like the one before this one, I believe. That one was pretty funny because I laughed quite a bit. Now this one was it was okay. It was okay. I gotta wrap this one up, finish this one up all together. But yeah, the last thing I wanted to touch on before we close out was Jennifer was riding around town in Austin while I was in the class I was in. She was riding around. She goes, you probably like this story. She goes, I heard about this story on the radio. She goes, it was about it's a bill in Austin. And like I said, I don't get politics, whatever. I don't care. It was just funny because I'm thinking about it's like a chain reaction thing with these bills and whatnot. It's an Austin bill, and I'm still reading up on it. I was trying to read up on it as much as I could before I did this episode, but I'm still reading about it, so I'm still learning. I want to be ignorant to things that are laws and whatnot. But a law, it's already been passed in New York, and it's they did away with in LA. I mean, New York. Excuse me, in New York City, they did away with lawn equipment. Landscaping, gas powered. Weed eaters, lawnmowers. Riding lawnmowers, what have you, leaf blowers. they did away with all electric ones. I mean, all of gas powered ones. They were banned in New York City, which I get it because in New York City there's not much grass there. But you got Central Park there. That's about only the grass they have, in New York City there. So they did away with all the gas powered landscaping equipment. So Austin, like I said, Jennifer was listening to the radio and she said there was a lady and they were talking about it and she was, about getting rid of the gas powered stuff. And Austin tried to do this, I think a year ago. They tried to pass this law. It didn't work. Because still Texas. Texas is still about their gas, which I'm okay with it. And anyway, so this pollution, and I think what it is, that Travis County is like one of the most polluted air. Their air pollution is one of the worst, one of the top worst there in Texas. And but yeah, Austin's trying to pass this bill. It's Bill 117, and again, they're trying to get rid of gas powered landscaping equipment. And right now, what they're doing now, since they couldn't get it passed, what they're doing now is they'll pay you to turn in your old. They call it old and dirty. I'm trying to think of the words that guy used. The old dirty equipment. Turn it in. It's noisy and it's fussy. It's like, dude, this is this career landscaping. Gives a lot of people how they feed their families. Man, this is a big deal. There's a lot. And I'm not trying to be racist or anything like that, but a lot of Hispanics, this is their, of course there's a lot of landscaping, different colors, but for me, growing up as a kid, seeing this, even to this day, this is how some of my cousins and stuff, that's how they had landscaping business, and then, that's how they made their money. They lived check to check, like, most people do. And so things like this is like, what do you expect these guys to, these landscapers, most of these guys are just getting by, and you expect them to turn in their gas powered stuff and give them, go buy electric. Can you imagine? I look at a Tesla, how much it costs, and you get buying that Tesla. It's fine. That's what you want to drive, whatever. I don't give a shit. But to buy a Tesla, you have to buy the charging station. So I can imagine with the extra shit you have to buy if you buy a riding lawnmower or a lawnmower, push lawnmower or a weed eater that's electric, or I look at battery powered like blowers, leaf blowers, because we have one here just because just convenience, and we don't use it. Rarely do we use it to blow off the porch or what have you. My mother-in-law, she's always doing that. She's blowing off her porch with the battery-powered DeWalt, blower. And you charge that thing up all night. And you do that for about an hour, and that thing's out of it's not working no more. Because it needs to be recharged again. So I think about these landscapers. They work 10, 12-hour shifts, maybe longer sometimes, and they're out there all day. You think I wouldn't imagine that these. I don't know anything about it. But I'm just saying electric's not going to last all day like that. I think about gas, you refill, go to the gas station, refill, you can work 15, 14-hour days, because these guys do, they're hardworking folks, anybody in the landscaping business, I know people from all walks of, all races, that are into it, but I'm just saying, but I see, like I said, again, going back to me growing up as a kid, watching the landscapers, they were always Hispanic cats, and, I think about those folks, if these laws ever do go into action, I think about those folks, like some of them don't have the money to redo that, to buy equipment like that. That's the kind of thing I think about. I know these lawmakers and these folks that are doing these laws, they probably don't do their own yard, so they don't care. That's why they say they call it fussy, smelly equipment, But these guys, there's people out here that are making a living, and that's how they feed their families, So it's a shot to working. For me, it's just a shot to the working class guy, and they may have it all figured out. It's government. They may have it all figured out, but whatever. I'm just saying, for me, it just kind of ticked me off because it's just like I think about all the folks, all the friends that I know that are in the landscaping business. I have no quite freedom here, and then back when I was a kid, a lot of them, my friends, they had family members that did that, and it's just like that's a hard working job, man. You can't expect these folks to switch over to electric, overnight. And that's what they were trying to do, just like, California too, trying to do away with cars. I forget what year it is, 2036, whatever the year is. I got to give it to Mustang, Ford. They're going to continue to make the Mustang, and I respect that. They're going to have a gas powered, they're going to keep it going, dude. So I respect Ford for that. I never was a Ford guy, but I respect him for that. I got to give it to him, man. But yeah, Austin, these bills, it's crazy, man. It's just. It's nuts, man. Just like for me, I think it's just because they don't want to hear the racket at 7 a.m. Hey, but that's how you got to get it done, man. These guys can't start at the butt crack at 1 or noon. They'll be dropping dead like flies, man. The heat, man. So in the Texas heat, you got to start at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. to get these yards done and knock this shit out. Especially if you got big yards. Like I said, my cousins, they had 6, 7 yards they had to knock out in a certain amount of time because you have to, because people want their yards done, especially if it's a business. They want it done. They don't want yard people there when during their business hours, because especially if it's a law firm or something like that. I used to like the law firms that used to have like old historical homes and they turn them into law firms. I used to love that stuff. They have a lot of those in Travis Heights, I believe. Travis in the Heights, Houston. I'm thinking about Travis Heights. I'm thinking about Austin. The Heights in Houston, they have a lot of those law firms that are old historical homes, and they turn them into law firms. I think that stuff's really cool to do that, to keep them alive, to keep those buildings going. Uh, but yeah, man, I just that coming across my thing, and it just kind of rubbed me wrong. It's not because of because electric, I'm Democrat, Republican. No, it has nothing to do with that. It's just I think about the working guy. I work about the working guy. How you gonna? He's got to be able to figure out how to flip over to that, and it's hard for some folks. Some folks don't have the means to do that kind of stuff, and I'm sure it's not going to be easy. And I'm sure they're gonna. If they don't switch over, I'm sure at some point, they'll switch over and they'll be fining these folks, man. These folks are just hardworking, hardworking people can't afford fines every week or every month or whatever, how they'll ever do it. But I'm just saying. I know it's still in action. I think they're going to revisit it again. I think they're revisiting it now as we speak. I think when it goes back into session, because I think it's summertime, so it's not in session. But when they go back into session, I think they're going to debate this bill some more. Bill 1017 is what it is. Just take a look at it. I'm still reading about it. Like I said, I may be ignorant to this, but like I said, for me, it always hits me, the working class. It always gets hit. The working class always get hit. The working class guy always gets hit. And it's bullshit, and I hate it, So those are the things that irritate me. It's just like it's easy for you from behind the desk to say, well, let's get rid of these tools. Let's get rid of these. Yeah, but you're not thinking about the folks that are, this is their careers. This is what they grown. They pass it down to their sons and their grandkids. They passing it down some of the trade that they can do. It's a trade, man. It's like, it's bad enough that trades are already suffering, like plumbing and electricians, carpenters, all those fields are suffering right now. And because I was watching a program the other day, and they said that firefighters are suffering, and like EMTs and stuff like that, they're needing them. They need them because nobody wants to do those jobs anymore. Everybody wants to do this, really, in podcasts, YouTube. Like I said, this is just an outlet for me. This is like a journal. This is my journal that I do every once in a while, just to vent and talk shit and just bullshit and talk about growing up. How it was from growing up. This is not. I don't expect to ever get paid from this. I got my ones of listeners, and I'm happy with my ones of listeners, and I don't care if anybody didn't listen. This is just for me to vent and to hold on to for, in the future. I can look at my silly ass self when I'm 80 years old. I can say, look at that idiot talking about nothing, nonsense and stuff. But that's just for me to have. So, but yeah, I know people want to do cush shit like this, where they're inside, behind a desk. Nobody wants to get their hands dirty no more. And like I said, it's a shame, because I said the landscaping carpenters, these plumbers, these guys, without those guys, just this, with all the storms that just happened, the linesmen, those guys deserve a big, big, big thank you, because those guys are working in all the elements, the heat, everything, the snow, the cold, and all that. And those guys are big time heroes to me, because like I say, when you see those trucks, there's nothing better when you have your power out for fucking 3 or 4 days. Ask Houston, they know about it. When your power's been out for 3 or 4 days and you see those lights, those flashing yellow lights flashing coming down the street, and you see those guys coming down the street, you're like, you're going to be all right. Like, they're going to take care of you. AC is going to be on in a minute. And that's the thing that people take for granted, man. So that's what I'm saying. That all leads me back to the thing with the lawn care stuff, the landscaping, the gas stuff, like I said. Those are hardworking people that have to eat, and that's how they eat. So anyway, I get off my soapbox here, and that was just something that just kind of hit me wrong. And it was like, well, that's bullshit, So, but that's, I get it, Everybody wants to be eco-friendly, save the earth. I get it. I'm just that old man on the porch complaining. I like my gas. I like the fumes. I like pumping gas. I like the smell of the gas. I like that. I like when you crank up an old car and the gas fumes suffocate you, and you could, you almost die of carbon dioxide poisoning, but it's worth it because you look cool in the hot rod. So I'm going to die in my hot rod, and I'm okay with that. So, it's been another travel site segment. We went to Austin. We're back now. And just stay tuned. Thank you.